And you have about 24 hours of glycogen stores or sugar stores in your muscles, in your liver. So when you stop eating, for the first 24 hours, you're still able to produce glucose from your glycogen stores. But once you've depleted your glycogen stores, now you're stuck. You either burn fat or you break down lean tissue. Now, because the human brain is so ridiculously large, I mean, it's 2.5 times a chimp's brain, it's a huge glucose burning machine. You had to have a way of being able to use some kind of other fuel for that brain. Otherwise, the first time spring comes late, all the human beings would have died.
Mhm.
And so this biological adaptation was clearly important for our survival, in large part because we have disproportionately large brains that burn, ridiculous amounts of glucose.
Just because the body does it as a survival mechanism doesn't posit that it's necessarily healthy, though, right?
Absolutely. And what we've done, though, is we've taken this biological adaptation, which by definition would be, something the body's capable of doing safely and efficiently, and utilizing it in a very unusual situation. And that's where people have consistently been exposed to dietary excess. In the world of our ancient ancestors, getting enough to eat and not getting eaten was the biological imperative of life. It was difficult to get enough to eat. In fact, most human beings that were born, modern humans, probably didn't live to reproduce. They didn't pass on their DNA. We're the results of the winners. Most people, starvation, predation, had all kinds of challenges that would prevent people from reaching reproductive age. Taking a biological adaptation, something that's natural to the body, and applying it in a situation where people had consistent exposure to dietary excess.
When you say dietary excess, you mean too much calories.
Too much calories. In fact, the diseases that we suffer today, the heart disease, the diabetes, the autoimmune diseases, some of the cancer, these used to be rare conditions that were called the diseases of kings. It was the wealthy elite kings that could consistently overeat, that would get the gout, that would get the heart disease. These weren't common conditions that were present for the peasants. These were rarefied conditions. They've become common conditions because now people are consistently being exposed to dietary excess. And more importantly, we're fooling our brain satiety mechanisms into overeating by putting chemicals in our food. And as a consequence, we have a situation today where 76% of people are overweight or obese. And the extra fat comes with something called visceral fat. It's the fat that tends to accumulate around the belly and the organs. And it's pro-inflammatory, hypermetabolic, hypertrophic. It acts like a tumor. You have people walking around there, maybe they have 20 pounds of extra adipose tissue. They have 2 pounds of visceral fat. And that visceral fat is giving off inflammatory products that's causing heart disease, cancer, diabetes, autoimmune diseases. And what's weird is these conditions are treated as if they're completely independent, unrelated conditions. You have to go to a different kind of